Hello, my customer success friends. How are you today? Nick Mehta, CEO and customer success evangelist, has produced yet another really wonderful blog, and I wanted to share it with you as I'm going through it. Let's go through it together. And this one is actually about transformation of companies into customer success and how CEOs go through the process of accepting that customer success is really here to stay and how do they embrace it in their company. So let's get started. The blog, like I said, is the 5 stages of CEO acceptance of customer success. And he starts with this quote from an investor: if our portfolio CEOs aren't focused on customer success, they aren't going to be the CEO much longer. I wouldn't want to be the CEO that gets so much pressure from the board to set up or embrace customer success. Unfortunately, I can tell you there's a lot of companies that still don't get enough pressure, or they do get this pressure, and then what they do is they just slap the customer success title on some existing team, and that would be it. So I don't know how many times I went to a company because of that board pressure, only to find out that their customer success team is actually a renewal team or a glorified technical account management team. I would say if there's any board member or investor that's seeing this video, this is what's really going on. You really need to double check, what are they really doing there? Okay, so this is where he talks about, customer success isn't an if anymore. It's just a matter of when are you going to do it, sooner rather than later. A lot of times people talk about when should we embrace customer success or set it up as a function. The trend right now is like people say, the earlier the better. Before we continue, don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube channel and smash that notification button so that you don't miss out on any new videos. Now he gets to formula. Basically, he says, look, he's inspired by the famous Gartner Hype Cycle, wanted to share the stages. And step number 1, there's like a technology trigger. He talks about that as a peak of inflated expectations. I remember in 2013, 14, and like the nascence of all this was the exact cycle. They got excited. They set up the team. There was like tremendous expectations that were completely mismanaged by the customer success executives at that time. And unfortunately, this happens today too. There's a trough of disillusionment, slope of enlightenment, and then a plateau of productivity. This is the part I hate the most, because this is the trap that most customer success executives are in, where they're focused too much on productivity. They would say, hey, I need more CSMs because this is the ratio I have now. And then the CEO would say, well, let's increase the ratio of accounts per CSM and get more productive. Yeah, maybe there's a plateau of productivity, but what should we really do is increase those cross-functional collaboration and infuse customer success in product-led strategies, in the sales motion, so that we capture ideal customers into the pipeline versus anybody, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of things that we can do in collaboration, and also thinking outside the customer success function, how it can improve the ability of any department, including the finance and the billing department, to be more customer centric. So not in love with how this ends, but let's read through it and see what's going on here. Okay, so technology trigger, this is this thing here. You should totally do the CS thing. I love that. This is true, right? There's going to be a pressure from a board member talking about how important it is. And sometimes you would hear about it from a management consulting firm. It includes customer success as part of his playbook for moving SaaS business model. You know what? No, you should include customer success as part of your profitable growth strategy. And how do you maximize your revenues and your relationships with your customer? This has nothing to do with SaaS business anymore. Gotta tell you, I have customers from all walks of life, all industries. A lot of them are not from SaaS. I got companies that are completely on-prem or have a portion of their business being on-prem. They don't have any usage data. I had multiple services companies. I recently had a company that sells warranty for their equipment, wanted to embrace customer success. I had a friend that is in the travel industry. She has a travel agency that has a customer success management team. So honestly, I don't know. You want to listen to the people who live and breathe and are not just generalists to tell you what's really going on. Anyways, in this stage, you often get educated by reading the customer success book. I bet this is his book. At least it's the most recent book. This is a really good book, actually. Yeah, so if you want to see more books that are customer success related and read more about it, then you may want to download our top 10 customer success book list so that you can really learn more about customer success, not just from one book. If you liked what you've heard so far, that's awesome. More coming in a second here, but in the meantime, I want you to click that like button so that YouTube knows that this is great content and you can start sharing it with others. Then we get into this next phase, which is peak of inflated expectations. Now you hired the VP of customer success and you assign them all these simple tasks like eliminate churn, make them happy, own customer success onto one person. Basically, by the time you hire them, you may have already assigned most of the budget to sales, marketing, and other more strategic efforts. And this is really 100% a predominant problem where you hire the customer success executive, you don't give them enough budget, there's no real vision or roadmap to what should be expected in all the initiatives that are related to customer success. I got to tell you, there's about 8 pillars in customer success that a VP of customer success should work on. Realistically, they can't work on all the things at the same time. They need a software. We know that it's hugely important, or they need a budget to customize your existing CRM system, or both. They also need a system to harvest usage data if you happen to be a SaaS company. And then they need a software to actually analyze that and maybe create a predictive indicator for churn or upsell. And, you can't just hire a person, give them 3 people or whatever and say, go do this. They actually need a lot to be able to perform well. And so this is what he talks about, is that a company hires someone, they say own churn, own customer success, own upsell sometimes, and they don't really arm them with the budget that they need. And then it gets worse. So yeah, I totally appreciate what he's saying here. Trough of disillusionment. We don't need a customer success team. Yeah, well, I think this has become less and less of an issue. I think this was very much the way it went. Like I said, 2014, 2015, early days, we'll see the customer success team completely broken out. I just had a customer, they tried customer success for a couple of years. They had 3 CSMs on, I don't remember how many customers they had, but let me tell you, it wasn't 10, it wasn't 20, it wasn't even 50, it was in the tune of over 1,000 customers. And so each of them got a few of them, and there was no budget, no VP of customer success, just a team of 3. I had another customer, very large, very respectful company, where they had less than 10 CSMs. Both of them are like multi-billion-dollar companies. And you have to ask yourself, what is going on? There's no software, there's nothing. They sort of like acted either as the assistant to the AE or highly skilled technical account manager. And so at that point, if they don't make a huge dent in the customer experience or the ability to renew, is that a surprise? I don't think so. So this is really, we hired 3, gave them nothing, and still we don't see an impact. Maybe we don't need CS. No, maybe we need more budget, more resources, more thoughtful strategy. So this is where this next step of slope of enlightenment, I'm sure, comes in. Slope of enlightenment, how do we not invest in CS? Okay, so hopefully if you made it to this point, you have actually retained your job. Many CEOs get replaced through this process. So here's what he's saying. Look, if you don't arm your customer success team with appropriate vision, budget, resources, you may lose your job. So this is what he's seeing. I haven't seen it, but this is what he's seeing, or what the VCs are saying. Check out that Twitter post we just saw. Whatever it's a private equity firm or a new venture capital or an activist investor. Finally, you're going to get more pressure basically from whomever is the majority of your shareholders, and they might decide to hire a new CEO if you're not, on the same page, and just say, get that team going. Either way, you're likely to hire a new CS executive. I actually really appreciate that this happens more often than not. Because here's the thing, you hired a CS executive and they didn't convince you that they need a budget. They didn't outline an OKR framework or detailed it enough for you to get you to give them more of a budget. If you're a CEO, you probably need someone more mature. So replacing that person is not a bad thing. Okay, made it a priority, go you. Plateau of productivity. So let's take a look at what that. So now you got rid of the other person, brought in a more mature person. What does this next thing looks like? I think he's missing a few steps here, but all right. Slope of enlightenment. How do we not invest in CS? Okay. And then the plateau of productivity. So you hired probably a CS executive, you probably gave them more budget finally, or you got replaced, God forbid. CS is a company priority. Oh, yeah. 100%. I don't know if this step comes up right after you hire a good CS executive. Sometimes the company is just focused on, all right, you set the customer success up, now get it more productive. Let's say your CS team feels like you are truly committed. Maybe you realize now that you need product and sales team 100% line up to CS. I would say this is stage 6. A lot of times after you finally hire the right CS and give them the budget, the pressure is for the existing CS executive to just be more productive, more scalable. It's very rare that I hear that the CEO pressures them to collaborate better with sales and product. So I would say is a plateau productivity, and then there's a company-wide transformation. And usually that stems from sometimes having a company like CSM Practice, a strategy company that says, well, now that you're productive and you're scalable and it sort of works, how can you improve further? And a lot of times in these specific like slope of enlightenment, the budget is going to be only partial. So many companies would segment their customer and say, look, we're going to give you partial coverage. So here's 10 CSM for you to partially cover X percentage of our accounts. And so over time, then they give them more budget to cover all of these accounts. And that's when the pressure for productivity and scalability comes in. And I would say that's the step between hiring a good CS executive, starting seeing some result in cohorts of customers. Typically, it's the most strategic ones, putting pressure on scalability, and then usually with the help of strategy firm, really aligning everyone in, what else can we do related to customer centricity and customer success in product, in marketing, in finance, in legal, everybody that actually works with the customer. I think that's probably a step here that I would love to see it broken down separately. I get that that's what he's saying here, but I think there's a step missing. There's another pressure point here in between that happens for scalability before most CEOs are concerned about what are we doing for customer success for the entire organization. So good article. Good point. Bottom line for this blog is that CEOs should probably get ahead of this curve. You don't have to go through all the ups and downs that most CEOs do. You can just jump straight into getting a real mature CS executive, giving them the budget that they need, think about scalability, and put pressure on other teams, other departments within your company to better understand customer success methodologies and how they relate to them. So hopefully you enjoyed this blog review. I'll try to do this more often. Give this a like if you enjoyed this. If there's other blogs you want me to review, put those links down in the video comments. Subscribe to our channel. Smash that like button so you can get all the new videos that are coming out. And I'll see you at the next video.